I'm Xochitl Mora, and welcome to On 1300. On today's episode, we have two very special guests joining me in studio, our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Michelle Rivera, and our Environmental Health and Code Enforcement Director, Ms. Nancy Treviño. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
So we have something really important to talk about. The City of McAllen recently made a significant change in our approach to animal care services here in our city. What can you tell me about what this change means for the community, Michelle?
Well, it's very important that we are making this pivot because the way that we've been doing animal control in the past has not worked, and the problem just continues to grow. And so we brought in some experts that taught us that looking at it in a different way and educating the public is a lot more effective and cost effective in the long run to the animal care services field.
Nancy, do you feel like this new approach is much more collaborative with our community and much more compassionate care, maybe?
It is a compassionate care approach. The whole new philosophy is going to provide us the opportunity and the platform to educate our community on what it is to be a responsible pet owner. In the past, the idea was that it was solely the city's responsibility to remediate and mediate any kind of problems they were having with any kind of animal in the community.
So aside from this significant mission change, we do have something very superficial in that the name has changed, right? As you were alluding to that, Michelle, that it's no longer animal control, but it is
animal care services.
And what that means is that there's more of a care towards the animals in our responsibility, but the community, like so many of the issues that the City of McAllen addresses, it's as you alluded, Nancy, not just the city's responsibility, but citizens or residents' responsibility to meet us halfway or part of the way to make sure that it is a successful approach.
That's true, because it should be a partnership. We can support our residents in areas where they feel hopeless and don't know what resource to seek out in any kind of animal situation. We have a partnership with a local agency that supports us when we need to surrender and or quarantine an animal, or if an animal's been seized during an arrest or any kind of vicious attack. We also have that partnership developed. And it's important for our citizens to know that we're here to stand by them and educate them and provide those resources. We're not abandoning our residents by any means. Actually, it's a higher level of care. And this is why it was so important to change the name along with the philosophy to animal care.
So now Animal Care Services is under the purview of the Environmental Health and Code Enforcement Department, which you're the director of. So what can residents expect aside from a new name? Is there a new look, a new number to contact?
There is a new number. Our number is 681-1919, and we do have an officer who's on standby 24/7 that can assist our residents even after hours, but that is our new number, 1919. We're changing the whole look. Our officers will now be dressed much like our code and health officers, a more community-friendly approach.
And so some of these changes involve how or when animals are picked up in the community. So can you describe some of those scenarios that are is a significant change?
I think the most critical thing that we are focusing on is animal welfare. During this intense heat that we're having here, a lot of residents have their animals tethered outside, and there is a law in place that you cannot chain an animal outdoors. They must have at least 10 feet of a tethering rope. And we have to go out and educate a lot of people who perhaps are not aware of the law and teach them on what it is that they need to provide for that animal. The shelter, the water, the food, and make sure that they have enough tethering to be able to move about and not be, bound so tightly. So another concern is animal welfare. Somebody who has blatantly just disregarded the well-being of an animal. Those animals are being neglected in a variety of ways. Those are cases that we look into. cases where a diseased or ill-looking animal approaches a property, we will definitely be there to assist. We have had cases where individuals find a deceased dog or cat on their property. We ask residents to assist us in picking up those animals. If it's an elderly individual who doesn't have any other means of assistance, we will go out and support.
And you were mentioning something about how part of this education or this new change is this education campaign, not just in terms of what it means, how to care for an animal, but other areas of being a responsible pet owner. Can you talk about some of those that we want to highlight to the community?
Well, one of the things is that the city does have a leash law. So if you have a pet and you happen just to open the doors to let that puppy or dog out to go do its business, it must be on a leash if your yard is not fenced. And of course, we have a law that says all animals must be vaccinated. Our officers check for that. If an individual calls into our office and says there's a stray dog and he's roaming around our neighborhood, one of the things that we can assist with is actually going, getting that dog, checking to see if it's chipped, and then we go door to door to try to locate the owner. In most cases, dogs stay within a 2-block radius of where they actually live. So that is another means that we're doing to assist our residents. And if a dog is behaving erratically and has started mauling other animals, or there is a reasonable attempt to attack a human, those are cases that we also go out and respond to.
And one of the reasons that there's this approach for trying to locate stray dogs, maybe they're not really stray, but just might be lost, is also to ensure that our partner agency here in the community isn't overwhelmed with dogs and cats that don't have owners. There's plenty, and so we do want to encourage our pet owners here in McAllen to microchip their dogs, to keep them vaccinated, to keep them in their yards. But if it's a case of an extreme case, for whatever reason, they're unable to keep that pet, what do you recommend that is the best thing that they should do?
With our partner agency, there is a resource center, and there is a number that they can call, 686-1141, and that number will give the specific individual instructions on what it is that they need to do. They put them on a list, and as space becomes available, they're able to take those dogs in what we refer to as a self-surrender. And our hopes are that those animals will be adopted out.
So we have a new name, we have a new mission. You've talked about this new approach. Is there anything else that you really want our community to understand about animal care services in McAllen and how this new focus, this new philosophy will function here in our community?
I do want to say that one of the most important things that we also assist with is sometimes we have some food available for dog owners and cat owners. And if a person feels like they just don't have the means to feed their animal, please contact our office. We will try to get food out there to you. So that is one huge change that we're also affording our community.
Which lives up to that name of animal care services and that approach of being that partner with our community. So that's a great resource. So thank you for that, Nancy. Michelle, anything else you'd like to add for our community to be aware of?
I just want to make sure that residents understand that we still respond to vicious animals, to dangerous situations. First and foremost, we will never step away from that responsibility. That is first and foremost something that we have to do to protect our community. But in taking this new approach and our officers knocking door to door and trying to find their homes, we feel like they have a better chance to be reunited with their owner if they are within their vicinity. Nationwide, dogs that end up in a shelter have about a 22% chance of making it home. Here in McAllen, our records show that it's more like a 12% rate. So if we're able to find those dogs home before they've gone into the shelter environment, it's much better for them, it's much better for their owners, and it's much better for the community in general.
Well, this is great information and such a great service that we're now providing or continuing to enhance that providing of that service to our community. So we just want to thank you both for being here today and for continuing this work of animal care services here in our great city of McAllen. So thank you, ladies, and I want to thank all of you for continuing to watch MCN 1300 and our show right here on 1300, talking about significant changes here within the city of McAllen. So for the latest information about what's happening here, continue to watch us on this channel, follow us on social media. For the city of McAllen, I'm Xochitl Mora.